afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property at... Sorry, I had the dirt bike in the background here. Anyway, we're at property address 5190 Constellation Avenue, Northeast here in Salem. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the house. We are on the left side of the home, adjacent to the air conditioning unit. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout, sticks way out of the ground. Can't miss this thing. This is how I like them. I'm not going to bury this puppy under any bark dust. Anyhow, 3-inch ABS. We're going to check the overall condition, serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We're going to have some water running here in just a moment. We're going to introduce it to the line here once we get down line just a little ways. And I did zero the foot counter out there at the base of the cleanout. And this thing dives like crazy. Yeehaw. Just transitioned there over to 4-inch 3034 PVC pipe. And these homeowners have done a very good job at keeping the line clean. There's very little grease buildup to speak of in here. Alright, so before I even put water down the line, this is how I like to look at, you don't want to look at a belly when water's running because it exaggerates them quite significantly. You got a little bit of a belly here that starts at about 17 feet. Right now, the water line is just over the top of the camera head, so you've got a little bit more than an inch of standing water there. If you notice, there is almost no debris buildup to speak of. There's certainly no significant buildup prior to this point. You know, what's one of the metrics I use, if I can't even recommend drain cleaning, I mean, what we're running into right now is some toilet paper. Toilet paper is pretty normal to see in a line whether there's standing water or not. You know, I'm going to put some water down line here, help flush that toilet paper out of the way. And it's probably extending the length of the belly right now and exaggerating the length of it. We'll get one more good gush of water down the line here in just a second. Alright, here's the main lateral connection. Right now my camera's flipped upside down. That's the main right there. The line looks like it's doing a shot out to the side street. So I'm going to do some locating here in just a moment. I'm going to put another few gallons of water down the line. Alright, we're going to let that drain off here for a moment while we go locate. Alright, line does a essentially dead straight shot from end to end here. If you draw an imaginary straight line out to Mercury Street, the street directly to the left of the house, line gets a little bit more than halfway across the road there and hits the main. You actually look like you've got just a little bit of standing water even that tails all the way up to the main. It's very, very minor. Right now I'm looking at the top of the screen. Camera's upside down. We're talking, this is like a 32nd of an inch. That's hardly worth even mentioning. But as it relates to if you were to actually fix a belly, in order to fix a belly, you have to chase the entire thing out, not just part of it. Otherwise what you end up doing is shifting the belly to a different part of the line. You'll make what was a 32nd of an inch into more significant if you try and fix part of it. And right now this is not one I'm leaning towards repairing. But it's also part of the reason why a belly like this is the cost incurred to fix something like this. I look at this also from a cost benefits standpoint. You know, right now what you're working with, that toilet paper actually was damming the pipe up there. As we've come back through that water line was barely hitting an inch of standing water. Someone had wadded up a big, huge chunk of toilet paper. So you've got considerably less standing water there than there was beforehand. You're sitting right, not considerably, but you've got probably a ½ inch or less of standing water than when we first ran through. So there's about an inch of standing water here. And as you can see, the sidewalls of the pipe, this is the important stuff. Everything prior to a belly. I've been doing sewer scopes for 13 years. I've cameraed somewhere between 24 and 25,000 sewer lines. The pipe prior to a belly is what tells you the story. And based on the film that's on the inside of the pipe there, that kind of dark film on the sidewalls, that takes quite some time to develop. It's a mildew film and or a little bit of grease. What that tells me is this thing has not been jetted to spiff it up for the sale of the house, to minimize the look of things or anything like that. You know, not that bellies can't theoretically cause problems. My experience with them, especially in plastic pipe, yeah, if you take the same belly and you put it in old rough cast iron or concrete, it's a completely different animal altogether. That combination of standing water, which is going to always slow things down to some extent, coupled with very rough pipe walls, is not a combination I love. In plastic pipe, especially a belly like this, it's only at an inch of water. It truly comes down to the homeowner and how the line's treated. If you're dumping all your bacon grease down the sink, flushing nothing but wipes, wipes, flushable wipes, paper towels, and I include flushable wipes in the improper category. They are slightly less horrible than paper towels are on your sewer line. It's going to require abusive items to ever get this thing to a point where you could get enough buildup to actually cause a backup. And blockages that occur in plastic pipe, you have that wonderful advantage of having smooth plastic pipe walls. That's in a scenario where theoretically a blockage even does occur. The head pressure of water building up behind a blockage that's made out of proper items like toilet paper rarely can withstand the head pressure of 17, 20, 30 feet of pipe filling up behind it. The head pressure pushes things through. And I can tell that scenario has never even occurred here. But on top of that, there's not even enough buildup in here to recommend $5 in drain cleaning on it. So that's my 2 cents on that. That is not a belly that is significant enough to require repair work, in my opinion, nor is it displaying any evidence of even causing flow problems in the past. And on top of that, once more, the cost to repair that relative to the benefit you would gain from it, it's just not there. So I put all the verbiage in these videos like I'm doing right now. When you go to sell the house, you have that to hand off to someone. There's a lot of rookies out there with sewer cameras that have no business scoping sewer lines. And they look at stuff like that and just nitpick every imperfection in your sewer line. That is a very clean sewer pipe. That's cleaner than most sewer lines that have zero structural defects whatsoever that I look at on a frequent basis. So it comes down to how you treat it. Don't put cooking oil and grease down the line. It's improper stuff in general that is going to have the harder time getting through there. The only thing we've even seen in this line whatsoever I could even call debris, certainly not buildup, is a big wadded up chunk of toilet paper. So anyway, we have adequate flow all the way out to the main lateral connection. The belly here, in reality, it actually extends out to about 55 feet. The more notable part of it, the part that I can call notable, that's holding about an inch of water in it, is from about 17 to 30 feet. That's the other thing I'm getting at here, is in order to fix that belly, you're not just fixing 17 to 30 feet. You would have to take that trench all the way to the main, trenching almost the entire width of the roadway. That's an extraordinary cost for something that I can't even recommend a few bucks in drain cleaning on. So anyway, sewer line is functioning properly at this time. Line's nice and clean. As far as the most common thing that builds up in standing water in general, and it's whether it's a 1/16 of an inch of water or 3 inches of water, is cooking oil and grease. If you're dumping all your pans down the sink, and it'll build up anywhere in your line, whether they're standing water or not, but it especially likes to do so where it hits water. It cools down rapidly for one thing, but fat floats to the top of water and it starts to collect to the sidewalls. So if you're a household that does a lot of deep fat frying, I'm not going to beat anybody up for making tasty food. If you've got a busy life, I can understand why not everyone's going to take the time to let pans cool down, wipe them out with paper towels, pour the grease into a jar, things like that. But that is what you do to mitigate grease buildup. I'd rather see someone, rescope the line at about a year, get a baseline for how it's handling living habits. Whoever's been living here has managed to keep this thing very clean. Some folks ought to do periodic hydrojetting to keep buildup at a minimum. This line obviously right now doesn't even need that. So anyway, sewer line is functioning at this time. All the pipe we just scoped there, all of it is intact, albeit has settled somewhat. Everything is intact. Plastic pipe can settle to an incredible extent without breaking. It's great stuff.